今天要面对 Top， 然后他们让我最有印象的就是他们打给熊熊，因为其实我就赛季初的时候就是因为他那时候打的不怎么亮眼吧，然后其实我觉得在季中季末的时候他表现得非常的好，是我会去学习的一个对象，所以我很期待在季后赛的时候跟他交手。
Well, he'll get his chance because Caster's now subbing into the roster for RNG, and so is Uzi into the bottom lane. So Korn has successfully drawn out the people he wanted to take down, specifically Uzi in the bottom side. But yeah, learning off of the jungler here, and he managed to get the first 2 games to actually study how XX is doing.
And here comes the big guns from RNG. If they're talking about Karsa, he has had 30 games compared to 15 on MLXG, and he has a much higher rate of first bloods and early gank kills. So I think that's why they're taking him in to try to straighten out their laning phases.
And I think the best attribute Karsa has is being able to, well, like Zach said in the cast, focus in on the enemy jungle. Track them, nullify their pressure, because one great thing about XX is his gank pressure. He ganks quite frequently, and a lot of the times he's able to get the first bloods based off the fact that you just don't see his pathing. Not going to be an issue when you have Karsa on your lineup. So for RNG, bringing in Uzi and Karsa, this is the best iteration of RNG.
Yeah, pathing in the early game, and also how the laning phase is going to go as well. Uzi coming here over Abel. I mean, Abel definitely has the mechanics, but Uzi, you look at him, he's got the whole package.
Yeah, Uzi definitely has a laning phase on his pocket, in his pockets for sure. Still has the highest CSD at 13.52. So what we're expecting is a much more focused early game coming in from RNG, possibly bot lane dives, definitely going to try and shove the lanes in more often.
Yeah. I want to see that coming out of the draft more as well, because we had Malphites in there, we had the Zax, and a lot of this was being counted out there by TOP. So I want to see if the draft actually changes towards looking to more the early game, or whether you go for the same type of draft and you just have different players piloting it.
And one thing true, I agree to that point.
How
you doing, Carson?
Oh, he's just repeating himself, if we didn't hear him the first time.
I know. It's one of those points when you finally get the spotlight on you. You need to make those words count.
Exactly.
But one point that I want to echo here with Karsa is the fact that he's very strong in terms of wards killed per minute. I feel like if you compare him to MLXG, he's able to control the bottom side of the map and focus, or at least force the enemy team to play your game. I wonder what TOP ends up doing if they still play to the top side of the map towards Moyu, because ultimately a lot of teams break under that. They either try and work too quickly, in the example of being Snake, and they don't end up they lose a lot of pressure because RNG is pushing the game a lot more faster than you would expect them to. Or you try and defend your bottom lane, put some defensive wards, and play towards a bottom lane fight, but then RNG just brings in more members. That's what Let.Me is so much more famous for, is when he goes to these international competitions, his teleport timing is perfect. It always comes down to a 5v4 situation. You have to challenge him in a 5v5, but RNG's setup is just better. So this is the competition you have to face up against. This is what you have to deal with if you're TOP.
And that's the fundamental difference in cognition between the LPL and the LCK. For the LPL, if you go bottom, you're always going to get more out of that trade. There's more people to kill, there's towers to take, there's dragons to take. So I agree with you. If TOP want to put their eggs into the top lane basket, they're going to have to do a very long investment and make sure they can continue to split push.
Yeah, there's lots of ways they can play around bot lane, top lane, hey, even the mid lane as well. But now we're going to get into a champion select, and we are going to send it over to our casters to get us into game number 3.
Thank you, and what's up, guys? It's Rusty as well as Fish here, the No Pants casters, going into game 3 for the Best of 5 series, and already in picks and bans for this third map. Kali, Alistar as well as Swain being taken away once again by RNG. Kaisa, as well as Rakan and Rise will be banned out by TOP. Varus, the first pick that comes out for Chocho, and Aatrox has been let through here, Rusty, picked up by RNG.
Yeah, Aatrox going to be locked in here now. That's a big pick for RNG. Of course, Xiaohu could even consider it, but Let.Me will be the Aatrox most likely in this one, with the Gragas secured as well, being able to flex into different lanes. We'll have to see how that one plays out. For TOP, they banned Kaiser away on blue side. That's how much they want Varus, and that's how much they don't want Uzi picking the Kaiser for himself. I respect it, but we'll have to see if that plays out, because they got Aatrox as a result.
You said Abel's not the problem, but Uzi might be the solution. Well, just the name has already changed things in Champion Select. XX will go back towards Sejuani. He had a good game on Sejuani in the last map.
He did. He was very much in form compared to that game 1, where he was 0-6, I believe, on the Camille as the game ended. So for TOP, they'll get some engage in the jungle position. They're going to round out their bottom lane as well with a Braum. Very strong combo. Choice. Yeah, definitely a strong choice as well with a Varus for lane control, regardless of who the support or AD carry will be. That's what you have to look at here.
Oh, well, normally you stand behind Braum, but he's going to stand right in front of Uzi and try and stop him from dealing damage to the rest of his team, as he will lock in Xayah as his AD carry of choice. No Rakan to be picked up as the ban went through for TOP.
Yeah.
Still a very strong pick.
With the Rakan banned and the Xayah locked in, of course, it's just about having an AD carry with a bit of safety in it. If you think of Xayah on a standalone champion, good into the Braum ultimate, good into the Sejuani ultimate, okay into the Varus ultimate. You can dodge it for certain, but if you're stuck in place, you just go up in the air and nothing happens, besides being untargetable for that hot second. So RNG, they'll pick themselves an AD carry that can scale quite well into the late game. Remember that Gragas can still flex into the role.
Varus does scale very well into the late game as well, and he does have a good lane into Xayah without Rakan. Has the range advantage, has the harass advantage as well. And Braum's going to be there to make sure that he stays safe. Xayah is a very low-range champion, so if Cat can get on top of Uzi, it's going to be difficult for him to fight back.
I'm curious to see if the Shen actually hits the bench here alongside the Tahm Kench.
Bench the Kench.
Alistar's going to be removed earlier in the draft phase as well, but that's not the direction they want to go. They're not sure where that Aatrox will be, so they take away the Ornn from Let Me just in case. You have to respect that one.
Because when Aatrox got reworked, we saw him play more top lane than the mid side of the map. He was already being played before his rework in both lanes. Once he got the big buffs just after Rift Rivals, it was mostly mid lane. From time to time, flex towards top side of the map. Now that a lot of Nurse has gone through, you've got to be kidding me. That's not going to happen. Kai'Sa, just stop. But it will be the Kindred being picked up here as the jungler of choice for RNG.
Yeah, they lock down the Kindred. So the jungle role, that does ultimately mean that the Gragas will be going into support once again for RNG in this third game of the series, Ming becoming a bit of a one-trick, it feels like, against TOP.
Could be Let Me's champion, or Xiaohu go back to his AP Gragas. Let's not get ahead of ourselves here, Rusty. You're 99% right here, but come on.
The 1%. That's what you're going to pan it towards, mate. Is that it? Of course, you're waiting for... so you know his jungle matchup, let's say, Kai'Sa, is pick the Kindred into the Sejuani. Lots of crowd control, not a lot of scoot backs. And that's going to remain consistent through the rest of the TOP draft here. That Kindred ultimate could actually be huge. And I am curious to see how that's going to pan out with a Vladimir on the opposing side. There is a direct counter already drafted for potentially in a team fight, but they picked the Vlad into.
Vladimir's ultimate does well into Kindred. You can pop it down as soon as Kindred throws out her ultimate. It should be able to deal damage after, but Galio locked in for RNG.
Yeah, I've got my concerns here for TOP. I think their draft is strong in its own right. I think they've got a lot of lane prowess through the bottom lane. Sejuani for ganks, and Korn is on his Aurelia. When TOP played against Suning Gaming, Aurelia was 4-0 in the set out of all 4 games. So very strong champion of choice, and Korn looked very proficient on the champion. Is into the Galio, and we have seen some Aurelias almost take him down, especially with the Ignite available. Maybe going for kill threat in lane. Top's the only one that's going to be on the weak side, and I mean, Moyu was the star of the show in game number 2. They're not going to empower him through laning phase.
Still not bringing in lies at all for the side of TOP. Starting with Moyu, nothing about their roster has really changed, but RNG have definitely changed a lot. Game 2, they bring in Let Me. And then game 3 is where the raid boss comes out. Rusty Uzi is going to be starting in this match. Kai'Sa is playing as well, so the coin flip of FLICKR is out again. But all tied up. Not many people expected TOP to be tied up after game 2.
Nobody expected it at all. Not even coming into the set until you saw perhaps the roster from RNG, but even then the analysts still were very confident in RNG and said they should be able to get the victory. Some of them even saying 3-0.
A big flip-flop
Thank you,
as
Flash
well.
Player, for the sponsorship. It was a little bit last minute, I think.
Just stuck on there. They've got, I mean, RNG got their new KFC on their jersey as well. Bit of a variety bucket going on there.
But it's 1-1, and there is, it's really distracting. There is so much momentum for TOP that it's not funny. If you think back to the first game, you probably go backstage and say, we made the mistakes, we lost the game. That's on us. RNG played well, but we had the lead. Game number 2, from start to finish, it felt like they had the bulk of the control, and they snowballed that out. So coming into the third one, if nothing else, there's momentum for TOP, but I wonder how that momentum feels mentally, just knowing that RNG have brought out the star-studded roster. They've got the superstars in.
Yeah, they have the chance to put RNG at match point here. TOP could have been at match point if they were a little bit cleaner in game 1, because that was a 7,000-8,000 gold lead. That was them with Baron buff. but RNG fought back nice and strong. Now going into game 3 here, Rusty. It's TOP's chance to put even more pressure onto the MSI champions of RNG, send them to match point, put the shoe on the other foot for a change. See if they can do that as we get onto the Rift. Game 3, TOP taking on RNG. No! LGD are not playing!
Every time. It seems like LGD has become a meme as the third team to chant for, but we're on the Rift regardless. We can pretend to... LGD are a thing of the past.
Look, when you have
the wigs are gone.
When you have such a cool name of Old Sugar Daddy, you've got to chant it from time to time.
I don't even want you to elaborate on that. We're just going to let that one sit.
Why?
Because we're going to talk about the game. It's game 3 of the playoffs, bro.
But they just said LGD!
Shut up.
No. Actually, I would get fired. If I shut up, Rusty, I will get fired.
I apologize. Anyway, we are on the Rift. And Galio in the mid lane against Aurelio with Ignite is something that we mentioned in Champions League. That's a place I'm going to be looking towards. This is a conscious walkthrough of the lane as well into the Tribush. TOP had vision there. Bottom lane should be in control for TOP. Mid lane should have kill threat for them as well. Top lane's the place where they are on the weak side of the map, playing Vladimir into Aatrox in that 1v1. So comparatively to game number 1, there is a strong and a weak side. It's not just general play for even drafting overall. Okay. And that's where RNG may be able to pick at some advantages potentially. Karsa already invading on that side of the map.
Yep, Karsa is invading. He's going to take away blue buff, and he does have the Scuttle Crab that's marked. Meanwhile, XX going for a very early gank at the bottom lane. Uzi is going to be the target. They hit level 2, very early heal, very early flash to get Uzi back to safety. Will be stun locked here. Ming will take some damage as well, and he gets stunned by the Braum passive. But some of the spells are burnt by Uzi, and they get away from that level 2 gank.
Yeah, a big disconnect, actually, from the bottom lane and the jungler of TOP. With a Braum and a Sejuani, their level 2 ganks are very potent. But that's because they both have 4-hit passives that can stun. Each individual got stunned, and it wasn't layered CCs. Now it's TOP's mid laner's turn to try and back away.
Corner's going to get locked down. Karsa jumps in for some good damage. Cooldowns are not going to come up fast enough. Korn will be forced to flash away, gets knocked down to about half of his hit points, forced to chug a couple of his corrupting potion charges.
Yeah, very active movements so far, particularly from the junglers looking for places to be. The real winner here is Karsa, however, as he went from blue to mid, now back to his own blue buff, and will get the 3-buff start in the end. Sejuani will be okay to clear some camps and get back to base, but she'll be behind the ball. Not in the most comfortable position after that gank bottom was not successful.
RNG will be pushing on the bottom side of the map as well. Ming will be constantly poking with its barrels. Really want to touch on Vladimir for a second here though, Russ, because although originated as a top lane champion, we've been seeing a lot more Vladimir in the bottom lane or even in the mid lane more often than not. Top lane is an old home for Vladimir that we don't see too often of.
Yeah, we're going to get a chance to see that in the top lane. Still been seen recently in the playoffs as well. It's just about scaling up, hitting those big team fights, and you know, once you hit the team fight stage, whilst Aatrox is potent, Vladimir is always going to one-up him in that regard. So that's a big thing you're going to have to look at if you can weather the storm in that early game. And speaking of weathering storms, you just saw the teleport used by Cholcho not having the best experience down that bottom lane. But that teleport does put him in a comfortable position as the lane goes, because Uzi has no summoners.
That just feels very awkward though for Cholcho. He teleports in to get 2 extra minions. He'll have access to this wave, and he will stop Ming from going back to base. But with teleport having such a long cooldown at the moment, which oh, that's just disgusting.
That hurts.
One of the reasons for having teleport on such a long cooldown now was to take it away from other positions and not have it on 4 to 3 different champions on the map. Not the best use from Cholcho. Aatrox's passive, the stab that you see, breaking shields, denying a lot of healing as well. It just seems like this is actually a very good matchup for Aatrox.
There should be no real world where the Vladimir handles him whatsoever. With either puddle even needing to be used defensively, but still doesn't mean he'll win the trade. That'll be consistent for quite some time to come. And we saw Karsa already take away a blue buff. Well, the potential is still there for him to invade once again. Perhaps play aggressively, perhaps use the top lane as Letme.
Moyu's going to get stabbed. Letme's going to dash around. Can't quite see what's going on. His PowerPoint presentation's a little bit from 1994, but he's going to get the first blood in the top lane. Does get taken out by Xiao Xiao, but TOP fight back, still a big play coming out from the rung.
Yeah, good positioning from XX to get the trade at all, but you can see how much control Let Me has up there, and that's the thing. It's the weak side of the map, and now it's bringing XX up there to have pressure at all. Of course, he was just on that side of the map, as we are unfortunately going to be into a pause. Let Me saying it wasn't a bug.
Wasn't a bug, I was just that good. Seems to be on TOP's side, the poll is coming out here. If we get more information, we'll let you guys know what's happening, what's gonna happen as we know.
No, it's not a big surprise so far, really, on the Rift overall. Uzi comes in, they have more control in the bottom lane. That's more expected the way that he plays the lane out. Towards the top lane, Aatrox is killing a Vladimir. I mean, that's easy as he wrote. That's the matchup determined. The dive is a very aggressive choice from him. But with all the prior trades that were going in his favor, he's able to make those plays. Caster starting a bit more cerebrally than that of MLXG, looking for invades, looking for smaller plays across the Rift. I mean, everything here is just your stock standard RNG experience. But you contrast that with TOP. Not playing towards their strong side of the map besides the level 2 gank actually backfired a little bit. Even miscommunications, it felt like, between the players. That was one of their big bets they made, but that was a very aggressive and very early big bet that he chose to make as a Sejuani.
The LPL fans are amazing, Rusty.
They have got some of the best memes and posters and the signs, and the crowd is wonderful.
But also every interaction I've had with a fan of the LPL has been so positive so far, especially after moving here to Shanghai.
Yep.
Everyone's just so lovely. They're always very nice, they're very respectful, and a genuinely curious bunch, the LPL audience.
Yeah, appreciate them dealing with all the interactions we've had. They just thank us. And we're never sure why they say thank you, but they just appreciate the work we're doing. It's very refreshing to have such positivity, you know, around all the time.
Well, you and I got a fun experience the other week, Rusty. We were able to go over towards the RNG house and play with a couple of the academy players that were training there for a couple of weeks. That was a lot of fun. They were very nice as well. They absolutely stomped me in the matches we played with them. It was not fun. I was a plat player in amongst Diamond and Master players.
Chelcho in trouble.
Chelcho in a lot of trouble. That's an instant body slam flash. Chelcho's going to try and get away from this. Not happening.
And they managed to give the kill to Uzi as well, so they don't play any risky business. They know the calculations have been done. And Caster now working with Ming. It feels like they've brought out the beast in RNG.
Make it stop, though. Oof.
That's rough. Boots of Lucidity, no teleport, no potions. Moyu's just going to have to go back to base and call that one a day and wrap it up. And very behind now in top lane. You look towards bottom, Uzi just picks up a kill. You look towards mid, they had the gank, they had control. The Ignite Aurelia didn't get any kills. Hasn't gone towards the Sheen or the big first purchase just yet, but is controlling that lane, Xiaohu, and is also level 6 on the Galio. Everything going right for RNG.
Even this, they collapsed towards XX deep into his own jungle. They forced him to use the Blast Cone to get away. This is big for Casa. He's got 2 stacks going for himself already on Kindred, and having complete and whole access to the side of XX jungle, Misi could potentially set up to get more of these marks later on in the match.
Yeah, and look at the Sejuani's pathing right now. Really wants the Krugs, but it's not feeling confident. May even just be looking for a counter gank in the bottom lane. Casa, instead, however, is going to go from bot side to top side, go from red to red. Secure double the objectives, double the buffs once again. Now, Gromp is marked by the Kindred, so we'll see if that's the direction he wants to go. Just avert your eyes, everyone. It's too painful to watch.
If he hit that Q 1 second earlier, or even half a second earlier, that should have been a dead Moyu. But this is disgusting. Top side of the map. I expected maybe they throw the Aurelia into the matchup. But instead going for the Vladimir matchup. It's not working out well for TOP so far. And Korn in the mid lane is already having such a tough time against Xiaohu. You said it yourself. He is controlling this mid lane matchup, but Korn actually fancies his chances in the 1-on-1. Tort's going to come through, waits for the Vanguard Edge to wear off. Caster is here, uppercut, knocks Korn into the air, gets the stun down. Caster going to try, chase through, Wolf chomps down, Korn gets taken down.
And Caster locks it down very easily. Xiaohu, unfortunately, for Korn is too tanky, and you can't take him down. It was the Sheen, it was the Ignite, it was the timing that you would expect for an Aurelia to go for the engage, but you can't get those kills, even though the Aftershock wasn't available from Xiaohu. I fully respect the decision to go from Korn. He picked a good moment. Caster, of course, nearby will secure the kill. I wonder if he'll even get that in the 1v1 anyway. Well, they're in.
TOP looking for the fight bottom lane. Uzi is level 6, but Ming is not. Teleport is going to come in. Ultimate being thrown out by Uzi. Chocho separating for the team. Cat, one hit away from being taken out. Good taunt on towards Chocho. Uzi gets that kill. Chocho going to disengage. And look at that. They give it to the king as well. They're just waiting for Uzi to collapse it towards Chocho. He moves towards the turret. That will take it down. Gives the kill credit over towards Xiao.
Gets himself executed under the turret to ensure that it's not Uzi picking up yet another kill. 2-0-1 is the Xayah in this bottom lane. And RNG suddenly look like they really have awoken the beast. TOP, you've made the best mistake you've ever made in League of Legends, it feels like. We'll see the engage once again in bottom lane. Uzi will flash forwards to pick up that kill, and Xiaohu exactly where he needs to be, right on time. And this is where you'll see the depression state from Chocho. What do I do? Well, I don't give it to Uzi. That would hurt too much. If that's the best option, things are looking dire.
Suddenly, RNG with their full roster, their MSI roster, come in game 3 and complete change. Now the game is a lot more aggressive, a lot of fighting taking place before 10 minutes, and the macro as well as the micro plays are going in favor of RNG.
Definitely are. The lead starts to stretch as well. 9 minutes in the game, over 2,000 in favor of our red side team. We're also hitting those first big item spikes. So with the lead they have, it means they'll get the spikes first. You can look at mid lane and jungle just to see where a big part of the difference lies. Remember that could very easily translate towards the rest of the map. It's an Infernal Dragon as well as the first of the game. I'd expect that's where their attention shifts.
2 kills for Uzi haven't translated much yet though. Still sitting on the Berserker Greaves as well as double longsword. Very close to Cholcho's items. The only thing that separates the two is Uzi does have an extra dagger. In comparison to the Cole and the longsword, that's the difference between RNG and TOP's 80 carries. So they're not out of this one. TOP are still in a comfortable spot. But with
the bottom lane, yes.
Yeah, but with top lane falling behind so far, that's a side of the map that RNG completely control. Karsa is dominating the river at the moment. You can't really step over towards RNG's side of the map. And as we alluded towards earlier, Xiaohu is controlling mid lane. He's not dominating Korn in that mid lane. He's not shutting him down by any means. But definitely keeping him back, keeping him behind his turret, making sure he can't go anywhere, and Galio can just rotate wherever he wants to.
He's cozy, he's scaling up as well, and once he hits those level 6, has the ultimate, can go bottom lane, that's exactly where he needs to be. So that's what you're looking at here. RNG in a pretty comfortable position overall. It's a Ghost Blade of the choice, item of choice in the top lane as well. Let me going offensive in his build. I like the adaptations from Moyu, however, going towards the Seeker's Arm Guard, stacking some flat armor to go against what is the lethality build. Ghost Blade helps a lot though.
The early boots helps him out too. I mean, cooldown reduction for his summoners, cooldown reduction for his abilities as well.
And just general mobility against the Aatrox. You want to dodge out on the combo for certain.
It's a lot of what you want. Xiaohu getting jumped on here by Korn. XXC as well. Vanguard's Edge going to lock him in place here. Disarm for now. Stun comes through. Karsa flashing into the fight as well. They're going to try and lock him down. Great ultimate command from Karsa. It's going to keep him alive a little bit longer. Galio jumps in, gets the big heal, but Korn picks up the first one. He will fall to Xiaohu. Let Me joins the fight as well. It is ripping through Chocho. Great lockdown towards Let Me. Will get knocked down. Meanwhile, Uzi starting this fight as well. Let Me in trouble. Forced to dash away. Trying to flash over the wall as well. Chocho going to jump in. Good save coming out from Ming. Keeps his top laner alive, but it's TOP that come out on top in this team fight.
Yeah, TOP actually win the trade overall. Uzi's still in a very confident position, trying to press forwards, Ming nearby. But RNG are the ones who get preyed upon by an aggressive decision from Korn, and from XX being just around the corner as that decision is made. Things looking a little bit more promising for them after such a dire start is exactly what they were after.
I like the decision-making coming out from TOP. I like the follow-up that came out from TOP as well. RNG tried to hold on, but they played that quite well.
And the awkward part about that fight, you'll most likely see it in the replay as well, is the decision from Karsa to use the ultimate. It's one of the hardest things to do as a Kindred, is do I assassinate the person and risk my ally dying? Or do I use the ultimate and ensure that we'll both stay alive and prolong the fight further? So that's what you'll see here between Xiaohu and Korn. They're chunking each other out. Karsa comes in, he makes the decision to use the ultimate instead of going for the kill. And I believe that was the correct choice. Xiaohu then says, I will ult, but the timing was a little bit too early from Xiaohu. And by doing that, he used all of his combo. They'll get Korn, but he will ultimately die for that instead of using it for CC afterwards. Cat with a sick Braum ultimate on the backside as well. will be what it takes to prevent Uzi and Ming from getting into the fray and buys TOP a little bit more time. Not for a kill, though.
Great shield coming out from Cat as well, just denies all the feathers coming out from Uzi. He still steps forward here. Even amongst 4 champions, Uzi's still not afraid to go toe-to-toe, and he's going for it again. Cholcho taking so much damage, ultimate thrown out by Uzi. Easy kill.
Ignite goes on Ming as well from Cat, perhaps trying to catch him while he was tanking the turret. XX nearby to defend and to save the turret from falling for the moment, but it's temporary.
That's scary. Uzi has 3 kills. Storm Razor already complete, level 2 boosts. 20 CS up over Cholcho as well.
Yeah, I don't really think there's any way out here for TOP's 2v2 in the bottom lane.
And we also got to see the cute interaction between Vladimir as well as Kindred there. We saw the Galio try to prolong the fight and make use of the Kindred ultimate. But as soon as the Kindred ultimate was placed down and Moyu joined the fight, throws out his own Hemoplague. And with that, RNG, yes, they heal up through Kindred's ultimate, but die eventually. That's going to pop, going to deal enough damage.
It is one of those double-edged swords of an ability that can be used. And Vladimir, whilst the Kindred could potentially counter it by using his ultimate after the Hemoplague, if you use the Hemoplague on some healthy targets inside it, you'll be able to deal increased damage. And so will your allies during that time to chunk them out while they're inside that ultimate. So always the double-edged sword has to be used brilliantly. And we have seen teams like RNG lose with the Kindred, even if she was fed. This time around, it's Uzi that has all of the kills, all of the gold, and my expectations are still heavily weaving towards the Uzi's about to pop off narrative, that's for certain.
He's got the items to do so, he's got the kills to do so, he has the support to do so as well. Caster's still making his way down towards bottom side of the map. Galio is here as well. This is going to be a hard force coming out from RNG. Seems Cholcho already used his ultimate, trying to clear this wave. Successfully does so. Uzi tanks a lot of these turret shots, and Letme's here too. You've got to be kidding me. Everybody has moved down to the bottom lane. Cholcho not long for this world. Cats can be taken down as well. Uzi not even a part of that fight. They ripped through the first turret, and a big play coming out from RNG.
The best thing TOP can do is go towards the Rift Herald, so they'll take that one down. They get some damage on the top lane turret, but I don't even know if they'll get the kill on the turret itself. And maybe they summon the Herald in the middle lane and try and get a 2-for-2 type of trade. But they already lost their bottom lane. They are so far behind in tempo for that trade at all. RNG just come out leaps and bounds ahead at 15 minutes in.
They too. Uzi's back. And you can see who the captain is now. Rift Herald gets thrown towards top side of the map, so TOP are going to try and make a trade. They'll get 1 turret for the 2 that are picked up by RNG. I doubt that this Rift Herald will be able to make a second charge, as Xiaohu's going to rotate up there.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. Shelly's had her run in this game, so he's going to have to call that one a day, head back to the Void. And TOP, you mentioned it, it's only the 1-for-2 trade in terms of turrets and the kills that went to RNG, and most of them going to Uzi usually. Not this time around, however.
I love how Uzi just subbed in this game, but he's already higher ranked than anyone else in the match.
Yeah, I think he started Challenger. That's expensive.
Yeah, Xiaohu's been sitting on Master for some time. Poor Letme just gets subbed in after game 2, he's still on plat. It's like, guys, Caster as well, still on gold.
And for those of you joining us that don't actually know what those are, they're rankings for fan donations.
That's their actual rankings in solo queue.
Don't listen to Fish. Fans choose to donate on different platforms and websites for their favorite player. The player goes up in ranks. Moyu caught out of position.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later because Moyu is caught out of position. Knocked backwards into the team. Forced to flash away. Good healing coming out. Protobelt to dodge away from the body slam.
Uzi in trouble.
Lots of trouble here as well because Cholcho's collapsed. Great flash come out from Uzi. How does the king keep making plays like this? Game after game, time after time. Uzi is still alive and he's still racking up frags. RNG are able to ace TOP.
And they go towards the second Infernal of the game as well. That's a 17-minute ace. It is 14-3 in kills. RNG just growing that lead further and further. And feels like nobody can stop them whatsoever. Uzi is a man on a mission. He will carry his team all the way to the finals if he gets his say. And this is the first stepping stone.
That was beautiful coming out from RNG's AD carry. Caught in a sticky situation. Waits and waits and waits and still finds time to come out. Meanwhile, the rest of RNG doing absolutely everything to not only keep him safe, but win the back half of that fight.
And it looks pretty rough here for Uzi once he's caught out. I believe it's the Varus ultimate that locks him down on the backside of this one. And Cat, of course, trying to play defense and deal the damage he can. So all of that CC combo. All right, Uzi's done. But then he flashes behind the Vladimir. Whilst disengaging from Cholcho and Cat, is able to lock down the third player simultaneously. It's brilliant from Uzi. Caster, of course, on the top side is able to kite out Korn. And Ming's able to secure that one.
It's not just the flash to get behind him, but it was as he was ripping his feathers back from the ultimate. That was enough to lock down Vladimir. Big play coming out from Uzi, big play coming out from RNG in general. We talked about Karsa, you know, kiting away from Korn, but we also had Let Me throughout that fight in such a good position.
And they are so ready to go, RNG. Let Me's second item of choice is the Black Cleaver, so going to augment his team's damage output. He's got a Kindred and he's got a Zarya that'll be complemented by having that item purchased as well. And so Let Me, he's far enough ahead that that Black Cleaver will help him in the side lane, but he's also far enough ahead that if he groups, the rest of RNG benefit from him as well. And they are at that point in the game where they are just going to dive. And I don't think there's anything TOP can really do about that.
Their team composition, Rusty, means that RNG can do it as well. Everybody packs a punch. And for what Ming doesn't have in damage, he makes up for in items. Zeke's Harbinger being picked up nice and early, making sure that Uzi's even more buffed up going into these fights.
I don't think we're going to get the 20-minute TOP Baron in game number 3 here. I don't know if they'll even get access to the pit.
Yeah, that's a 7,000 goal lead for RNG just 19 minutes into the match, Rusty.
0-8 and 0 is the scoreline of the bottom lane so far as well. And you want to speak towards changes in styles. But Abel wasn't the problem. We know who the solution definitely is. And for TOP, they have gone back towards the AD carries. They are looking decent through that position, but not in this one, as they've met their match.
Great laugh, Changmao. All the actions kind of die down though. RNG have picked up lots of objectives after the last few explosive fights. 20 minutes hit, and Baron is going to spawn.
And that's because the only objective they can really look towards is the Baron. Yep. Pretty much everything else has been taken, so they'll take their chance with the one remaining big objective.
That's very curious coming out from Let Me. He's not pushing the wave.
He's letting it freeze.
He's letting it freeze. He has enough minions to force a freeze, and Moyu can't go anywhere to farm. There's no Krugs, there's no Raptors, there's actually nothing for Vladimir to take.
It feels like almost an insult to injury type of decision there from Let Me as well. It's a good choice because RNG get control on the Baron. And the second Vladimir is seen as well, they could maybe rotate over.
Which is what they do. They rotate over to get positional advantage. Oh my goodness, Chocho just got knocked back into that fight. Double kill being picked up by Xiaohu. Korn's gonna try and jump back in, looking for a kill towards Ming, but Karsa will keep him alive for now. Drunken Rage gets him some health backwards, and Korn gets locked down as Karsa gets the third kill, and you bet that's gonna be Baron picked up by RNG.
And right on cue, 20 minutes and 50 seconds, the picks are secured. They don't even need their top laner to come down as well. Moyu no teleport. X is in the area, but he's going to get zoned away by Ming. So now suddenly Ming in trouble, but RNG are looking at Baron.
Yeah, that's the second time that Ming has been in trouble inside of this skirmish, but Let Me finds a flank on top of XX, dashes over this ball, will get slowed down, but just chased through. Ming gets revenge at the end of the day. 4 kills total going to RNG. They pick up Baron buff as well. They break open this game. They are 10,000 gold ahead, 21 minutes into this match.
Yeah, I think it's going to take a full-on miracle and maybe even 2 or 3 of them to bring TOP back in this game at all. Ming's ultimate here is fantastic.
Oh!
Knocks Chocho. He hits the perfect angle as well. Doesn't even knock him into the wall next to it. Just brings him on top of the Galio and on top of Karsa for the DPS. Korn comes in, thinks he might have an opportunity to get a pick. Has no choice but to turn around because he was caught and doesn't quite find the mark, tragically for him. But at the same time, RNG don't give him that chance.
No. RNG have now stuck Let Me in the bottom lane to deal with Moyu. There's nothing that Vladimir can really do against this Aatrox for the moment. He has not even gone back to base to buy just yet, Rusty. Let Me is still sitting on a ton of gold.
Yeah, I'd say he could. Probably go back and shop and spend all that money. I don't think it matters too much, honestly. He's even equal with his opponent in items. Not ahead in gold value of those items as well.
The rest of RNG also rank up enough for the entire squad of RNG to hit Master Tier. Getting closer and closer towards Challenger.
No, really just
RNG going to push towards mid lane. They take down mid lane outer turret, sorry, inner turret, making their way towards the base.
Dot the I's, cross the T's, dude. I think that's all that's really left for them. I don't know how TOP defend these. If it's an engage, it's a desperation engage. And I will say, it is the LPL, so they'll do it.
Oh, that's one way to try. Throw everything at Uzi, but he just dodges out of so much. Even Galio ultimate, just to make sure that the king stays safe. Chocho's in trouble. Ming gets that kill. He's still alive somehow as well. Korn stuck inside Karsa's ultimate, but he will get knocked out as well. Let Me goes on a rampage. With only XX left alive, This should be the match.
And once again, Ming survives, scrapes through barely, and suddenly they're going to try and maybe dive XX in the process, but this should be game over.
No.
TOP, they were desperate, and they tried, but they could not try hard enough.
Night and day between games 1 and 2, and now game 3. Uzi comes in, Karsa comes in, Let Me stays in the squad, and they run straight through TOP, sending RNG to match point.
Confident, clean play coming out of RNG, a crisp performance in game number 3, and it looks like they just put on a clinic against TOP, a side that had some momentum. They were feeling good for themselves. Even in this series, you looked at them and thought maybe they have what it takes. Maybe they can at least take us to game 5. Uzi comes in and presses the biggest red note button you've ever seen in your life, and that's all thrown out the window for TOP. They need to hit the drawing board and start from step 1.
You were absolutely right. Abel was not a problem, but Uzi is the solution. He looked so good in the bottom lane. There was nothing that TOP could throw at him that would phase him. All the way from a level 2 Sejuani gank down to team fights where every single ability was going his way.
And if you ask me, what do you do in the next game for TOP? What do you do when your back's against the wall to keep yourself in this series? I think you go back to what worked. Moyu was playing very well when he was given the Camille. I think there's too much respect perhaps given to the bottom lane of Uzi and Ming. Rightly so, and I think it's deserved. But you need to have a win condition on the top side, perhaps, if that's the place that you want to go. Give yourself some power. Don't put a Vladimir against an Aatrox.
15,000 gold lead at the end of the game for RNG, and everybody on RNG squad with over 10,000 damage done to champions, including the support of Gragas.
And Gragas was actually doing a lot of work in that play as well. Doing some big damage, some big Ds, but some big ultimates, and working with Uzi seamlessly in the 2v2.
And it sends RNG to match point to break it down and send us into the next match. Let's send it back to the analyst desk.
Thank you, Mr. Fish. And boy, was that a different RNG to look at. 23 minutes of gameplay. We barely had any gameplay.
Yep. I mean, ultimately, I just love the fact that we got Uzi and Karsa back. Thank you. Thank you. Just
Thank you.
Thank you. Just because early on to the game, it actually looked fairly good for TOP because of the level 2 gank coming in through. And I thought that Vladimir placing an early ward level 1 to catch out Karsa going for blue buff. I was like, okay, TOP, you know, starting off strong and stopping Uzi from getting back into it. But then Karsa's actually just super smart. Goes over the dragon wall so he can actually find a way around Chocho and gets a kill there. And suddenly he's like, okay, the one thing that we said should not happen for TOP and losing the bottom lane to Uzi happened, and it just got snowballed from that point.
Yeah, if you look at the end score, it was 0-12 for the TOP bot lane against the likes of Uzi. And this is just what we were talking about with Uzi in the lineup. The biggest difference, we've seen this in spring as well, is that he gives RNG a focus, a place to go to where they put all their resources in. They're very adept at playing into the bot lane, and they just never let Chocho had a good day. Like, I feel bad for Chocho. I want to do a movie about this, a life of Chocho in this game, you know? And it's just sad to see, but it's great to have RNG come back and play their style.
Yeah, because the early game was still that, you know, what you mentioned, Raz, and then the following skirmishes look good. You look towards the mid lane, no skirmishes also going well. And it's like, okay, yeah, TOP might be able to get out of the laning phase, be right, or in the bottom lane. As long as you give Uzi any type of resources, he will carry it in the following team fights. So as we take a look at some of these team fights, it was just all about Uzi. You know, you back him into a Dark Alley, and it's just like, not today. Pulls out 2 pistols, backflips over his opponents and shoots them all down. It's like, this guy is just too good at League of Legends.
Gets hit with a Vladimir ultimate to start, and he can't deal the damage because Cat's literally just holding up a door there. But that play, flashing out of there, getting a stare across, super well played from Uzi to essentially just save himself entirely. He's the bulk of the damage in RNG's side. So he needed to keep himself alive, what was a hectic team fight. So just individually coming out ahead.
That play was absolutely insane. He takes 2 ultimates to the face, dodges out on the piercing arrow at the last possible second, and then gets a double stun into a triple taunt from Galio. You can just see, like, RNG, all of their eyes are around Uzi. They know when to pick up what he's left down and just finish up the fight from there. So, you know, all hail the king.
It's just, I mean, even though Abel is mechanically, obviously, very good, it's just you also have the laning phase there, and it's just like no matter what you give Uzi, you know, it's going to be resources that are probably going to be amplified. You know, when you look at his damage to gold ratios, he always comes out ahead of like 100% usually as well. So everything is going to be amplified coming out of Uzi. This is our final fight of the game right here.
And I think this game, because at this point of the fight, how do you even get on towards like a dive onto Uzi because he still has his ultimate and then just Galio? Exactly. So this team fight was essentially just the result of what was a disastrous early game for TOP. And what amplified it was not only because Chocho ended up dying really early on when they had an advantage because of XX's gank, but they didn't have the necessary defensive wards to catch out Kindred coming through. Also, the top lane matchup, because remember, XX has focused towards the bottom side of the map, that he was essentially all-inning there. While the Vladimir, you're not going to be ganking the Aatrox in the Vladimir matchup. You don't have enough sustained damage, and you're hoping that the Aatrox pushes in completely. He was bullying Vladimir. That was such a bad lane for him, and it was essentially now at that point, 13 minutes in, your Varus is 0-4. Top lane's having a bad time. You just don't have a lane that you can play through reliably. And if you try to play through mid, which they ended up trying to do afterwards, not possible because Galio is just too much of a brute.
Yeah, and I think that's a big thing about the in-game strategy coming in from RNG, that they're splitting the map up early just to make sure they can isolate Moyu. And I feel like this is going to force XX onto a matchup which entails more risks. If he goes on something like the Sejuani, you know, Karsa is a very big Trundle player. He can reset that play again, go into the top side, make sure you can't play towards Moyu, and then just all in with Uzi on the bot. That's a very hard strategy for TOP to really get out of.
Yeah, Michelle, who's going to take our man of the match coming into our third game here. So again, on this Galio play, just super, super strong, getting all those multi-man taunts over and over and over again. And of course, just setting up Uzi for success and all the damage dealers. So, I mean, the Summer Tiger, definitely a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, they tried to go through him. They tried their hardest. I know it's the first day of the NFL, and so a lot of the imagery of just trying to get straight through the brute, you're not going to be able to get through Galio. It's just not possible, especially since RNG so focused, as you said, towards the bottom lane, that the moment doors start getting shut down and there's that one door up and available, and it's the mid lane, they tried their hardest, but you're not going to, he's too strong. He's too powerful. And RNG, at the end of it, we're just having a lot of control wards around it, so he was well protected too.
Yeah, and frankly, that was the story of the game. It was just a brute force win with RNG, using their players, using their talent over TOP. We'll see what they've got left as we head into our match point game. We are going to take a quick break. Join us after this.
让我们把故事传唱下去，继续书写 RNG 的传说。